In the realm of high net worth, conventional wisdom often dictates a path of diversification and adherence to established financial instruments. While prudent, this approach often overlooks a more potent force in wealth creation and impactful philanthropy: hidden wealth strategies. What exactly are these strategies? They aren't reckless speculations. They are deliberate approaches where the potential for significant reward vastly outweighs a defined and limited downside. Think of strategic capital allocation into groundbreaking technology, the careful acquisition of undervalued assets poised for transformation, or supporting initiatives with the potential for exponential social and financial rewards. These are pathways to a geometric expansion of impact and reward. However, the traditional capital markets, while offering stability, often fall short in delivering truly unique opportunities, especially without significant systemic friction. Opportunities become crowded, diluting potential rewards. The regulatory weight and organizational overhead associated with conventional capital deployment can be substantial, eroding both rewards and the very freedom that wealth should afford. Even within sophisticated structures, the quest for truly differentiated outcomes often encounters layers of bureaucratic strain and limited access. This is where the Fifth Institute offers a distinct paradigm. We serve with strategic philanthropists who recognize that true leverage isn't found in conventional financial products alone, but in the intelligent structuring and deployment of capital into carefully vetted hidden wealth strategies. We focus on approaches that are not widely understood or easily accessible, operating outside the crowded mainstream to uncover unique potential and achieve extraordinary rewards. Our philosophy is rooted in precision stewardship, aligning your capital with your deepest values to create maximum impact and meaningful rewards, all while navigating the complexities of the modern landscape with clarity and strategic foresight. We empower you to move beyond simply managing wealth to actively shaping outcomes, leveraging hidden potential for extraordinary results. The challenge for many high net worth men and women isn't a lack of resources, but a lack of access to these diverse hidden wealth strategies and the frameworks to deploy capital effectively within them, free from undue system burden. The Fifth Institute bridges that gap. And now, our friends on the video team will illustrate these concepts with powerful, real-world examples.
As our previous host just shared, hidden wealth strategies are about identifying opportunities where reward dramatically outweighs risk. Let's see how this plays out in practice, moving beyond theoretical definitions to concrete outcomes. Remember the concept of asymmetric reward? Consider a family office pooling funds to contribute a modest $250,000 for early research and development in a rare neurodegenerative disease. This was a targeted allocation with a defined downside. The Phase 1 results were overwhelmingly positive. Within 4 years, that early contribution was redeemed at $17 million, a 68 times reward from a focused capital deployment leveraging foundational scientific validation. Think about how systemic friction limits traditional capital deployment. In contrast, a strategic philanthropist bypassed that by allocating capital toward a software platform for municipal broadband, addressing a critical societal gap. Within 18 months, an exit to a major private finance association created a 12 times reward, demonstrating the power of leveraging a critical need with an innovative, scalable solution. This illustrates how hidden wealth strategies can generate both significant reward and profound impact. Pooled funds with a dual mandate allocated capital toward rapidly deployable vertical farming modules in a vulnerable region. Organizational acquisitions and alignments followed. The rewards shared among the pooled contributors showed a 9 times reward in under 2 years. This showcased strategic capital deployment in response to an urgent global challenge. The common thread across these diverse fields isn't just luck, it's the shape of the reward curve. A clearly defined, relatively low downside coupled with an opportunity for exponential upside. Strategic contributions are made with foresight and a specific structural understanding. They involve careful planning, resource allocation, and a clear vision for future growth. Just like in sports, where every move is calculated for the win, these contributions set the stage for success. This idea of asymmetric reward isn't unique to finance. Consider the NBA. Second-round draft pick signs a modest rookie contract, a defined downside for the team, yet through development, that player explodes, becoming a superstar. The next contract isn't a modest raise, it's a $200 million deal. That's asymmetric. The initial cost was minimal, the reward exponential. The capital world follows a similar pattern. Undervalued doesn't mean unworthy, it means unrecognized until leveraged strategically. These examples underscore the profound potential when strategic vision meets overlooked opportunities. But there's another layer of strategic intelligence, a structural layer, that takes this to unprecedented levels, moving us beyond the bureaucratic strain we discussed earlier. And now, our friends over at the Fifth Frequency podcast will close us out today, delving deeper into this crucial structural advantage and how it frees capital from systemic imposition.
Let's give a big shout out of appreciation and gratitude to our 2 previous hosts for sharing exciting and impactful wisdom. Welcome to the Fifth Frequency podcast.
Welcome, everyone. We're excited to really get into this deep dive today, focusing on strategic capital deployment for high net worth stewards and legacy strategists.
Absolutely. Today, we're really unpacking the Fifth Institute's specific approach. It's quite unique, a synthesis, really. It combines what we refer to as asymmetric wealth strategies with a very powerful structural framework. The whole idea is to tackle that challenge, that constant challenge high net worth stewards and legacy strategists face, right?
Right.
Trying to navigate all the systemic imposition and, frankly, the bureaucratic strain you find in conventional capital deployment.
Exactly. That friction, that kind of organizational drag, it really does limit both freedom and opportunity.
It absolutely does. And what's really fascinating here is recognizing that for wealth builders, for legacy builders, many traditional paths might seem prudent on the surface.
They look safe.
But they consistently hit this significant friction. We're talking about regulatory weight, that organizational overhead, and just that pervasive bureaucratic strain. It almost acts like a hidden tax. You know?
Yeah.
A tax on time, a tax on capital velocity.
It really does. It's that administrative encumbrance, all the red tape, the reporting requirements, these structural impediments. They don't just erode the potential reward you're seeking. They significantly chip away at the actual freedom, the compounding liberty that your accumulated capital should be providing.
It really feels like you're just constantly battling that organizational drag, that institutional impediment.
Which brings up a really key question. How do you actually move beyond that kind of structural impediment?
Right.
And our strategy really highlights what we've been calling hidden wealth strategies. This is presented as a necessary paradigm shift.
Okay.
These aren't the strategies you'll find crowded into the conventional mainstream. They are very deliberate approaches where the potential reward can dramatically outweigh a very defined, very limited downside.
Offering pathways to geometric expansion. Is that fair to say?
Geometric expansion of both impact and reward, precisely. These are, by definition, asymmetric opportunities. And often, they aren't widely comprehended or, frankly, easily accessible through the usual channels.
And our own strategic philanthropists, they've seen scenarios just like this play out again and again. If you think back to some examples we've touched on, there was that strategic philanthropist who allocated, a relatively modest $250,000, a co-investment in the very early R&D of a biotech startup.
Yes, focused on a highly specific, quite underserved niche.
Right, a really targeted deployment. The downside was clearly defined, but that initial co-investment, it yielded a 68x reward, turned that $250K into $17 million. I think it was inside 4 years.
That's right, and that really shows the shape of asymmetric reward potential.
Or Remember the strategic philanthropist who managed to bypass a lot of that systemic friction? Deployed capital into early tech infrastructure?
Yeah.
For municipal broadband, wasn't it?
Yeah. In a region that really lacked connectivity.
Yes.
Tackling a critical societal need directly like that. Well, it resulted in a 12x reward in just 18 months when a major firm acquired the position.
And we've also talked about pooled capital allocations, ones that show both significant reward and really profound impact.
Like the vertical farming example, deploying capital into vertical farming in a region with serious supply chain restrictions.
Yeah.
Pooled funds acquired positions in these rapidly deployable modules. This led to organizational acquisitions and alignments that produced a 9x reward in, I believe, under 2 years.
And directly helped with food security challenges in that area.
Exactly. So if we connect this back to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the common thread running through these successes, it isn't just luck or coincidence.
No.
It's the very distinct shape of that reward curve. You have a low defined downside, coupled with this opportunity for exponential, often quite disproportionate upside.
And these results come from strategic contributions, yes, but also crucially from a structural comprehension, a way of operating that moves entirely beyond that traditional bureaucratic strain, that institutional impediment.
But those asymmetric gains, as powerful as they are on their own, they get amplified exponentially. When you integrate this critical structural layer, a layer that effectively frees the capital from that systemic imposition.
Okay, so this is where the Fifth Institute's structural intelligence really comes into play, creates that force multiplier effect. It's important to stress that.
Second, you benefit from collaborative due diligence. You're drawing on diverse expert perspectives from your fellow co-investors, different backgrounds, different insights.
Makes sense.
And crucially, you gain collective access to larger, potentially more impactful acquisitions and positions, things that might simply be out of reach for a single co-investor operating alone.
And this is what you refer to as the cooperative acquisition model.
That's the model. And its design inherently bypasses many conventional burdens. You don't have that traditional, often complex fundraising process. There are no required public disclosures, again, because of that structural privacy. And the bureaucratic strain is minimal compared to other models.
But, and this seems critical, the co-investor retains control.
Here's the real power for the co-investor, yes. Each contributor retains direct, private control over their capital's allocation, how it might be exchanged, or the royalty streams it generates. You pool for access, for leverage, but you maintain control over your specific portion.
Okay, so let's synthesize this. It's a powerful combination. You've got the hidden wealth strategies, offering that asymmetric opportunity, defined downside, exponential upside potential.
Check.
Then you pair that with the lawful and legal 508 structure, that's a mandatorily accepted vehicle, shielding the capital from systemic imposition, from regulatory weight.
Yeah.
And then you add the power of pooled capital deployment for leverage, for access, for shared due diligence.
These three elements interlock. They create a truly unique force multiplier.
And this combination directly addresses that core problem we started with. The organizational burdens, the systemic imposition, the bureaucratic strain that high net worth stewards and legacy builders have, frankly, carried for far too long.
That's precisely how it's designed to function. It directly solves for those constraints.
So the unique value proposition becomes pretty clear then. You're deploying capital for potentially exceptional reward and deep impact simultaneously.
Yes.
And doing it within structures specifically designed for freedom. You're effectively replacing those organizational burdens, those administrative headaches, with mission-aligned ecosystems.
While preserving direct control. Amplifying opportunity and reach without giving up that control.
Right. Now, it's probably important to clarify what this isn't.
Absolutely critical. This isn't crowdfunding. It's definitely not venture capital in the traditional sense, where you often cede significant control and face entirely different sets of structural impediments.
And it's not a donation either, right? Where
Yeah.
you essentially lose control over the capital itself.
Correct. This is cooperative capital design, specifically for strategic capital deployment, focusing on asymmetric opportunity, all operating within protected, mandatorily accepted structures.
The key takeaways here really seem to land powerfully. You're essentially reallocating existing capital. You're acquiring positions in carefully vetted asymmetric opportunities, and you're redeploying that capital within structures that are mandatorily accepted from those traditional burdens, like heavy reporting and oversight.
And that mandatory exception is what allows the capital to flow. to move with velocity, instead of being siphoned off or slowed down or just constrained by all that systemic imposition and regulatory weight.
Velocity truly equals freedom here. And growth without that regulatory drag, without those bureaucratic obstacles, that equals compounding liberty.
Compounding liberty, not just for the individual strategic philanthropist, but potentially multi-generationally.
So the combination asymmetric strategy plus a mandatorily accepted vehicle. The results aren't just incremental improvements. They can be truly nonlinear, generational even.
That's the potential, yes. Nonlinear and generational. This core philosophy, this disciplined approach, wielding capital for both maximum impact and disproportionate reward, all within these protected structures. That is what we call precision stewardship. At its heart, it's about deploying capital with wisdom, multiplying your capacity to do good, and crucially, doing so without the crushing burden of overwhelming bureaucracy.
It really feels like this entire approach represents, well, a new frontier. A new frontier in wealth building, in legacy creation.
It's certainly not something you typically find discussed in conventional markets or through traditional financial advisory channels.
No. It seems to exist right at that powerful intersection, doesn't it? Purpose, protection, and possibility. Especially for those high net worth stewards, those legacy strategists who have felt the hidden cost of conventional wealth structures.
For those who are ready for a fundamentally different path, ready for compounding liberty and, frankly, unburdened impact.
That wraps up our glimpse into the Fifth Institute's unique approach. Thank you for subscribing to the Fifth Frequency podcast and for joining us in exploring these vital concepts today.
If anything you heard resonated and you're ready to dive deeper into how precision stewardship can transform your capital deployment, we invite you to schedule a private talk with a strategic philanthropist from the Fifth Institute. You can find details on how to do that on our website.
And now to take us out, we're going to leave you with a sound that moves like this strategy. Smooth, powerful, and built for legacy.
Without friction, wealth in motion, structure on lock, full devotion. Tapped in, mapped out, every move precise. No ceiling on this climb, we don't roll dice. 508 on the frame, now the system's clean. Compound and move, stay lean, stay keen. No detours, no slow down signs. Let the capital breathe, design refines. Lawful structure, sharp and light. We don't waste time, we just ignite it, move, let it ride. Asymmetric flows on the glide. No drag, no leak, no pause. Full velocity without the claws. Let it grow, let it live. Strategic lanes with the torque shift. Freedom, form, precision, flight. Exponential steps into the night. Institutional weight, now we trim that fat. Now the money flows silent like a jet black cat. It's design over hustle, architecture smart. Wealth in motion, that's state of the art. Every choice multiplies when the lane is clear. No friction, no loss, keep the target near. From brand place to IP vaults, we build with speed, no fault, no halt. Let it move, let it ride. Asymmetric flows on the glide. No drag, no leak, no pause. Full velocity without the claws. Let it grow, let it lift. Strategic lanes with the torque shift. Freedom, form, precision, flight. Exponential steps into the night. No gatekeepers, no delays. Structure sharp, we pave new ways. Velocity isn't just a dream, it's a blueprint built for the elite team.